What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. So, as you see on your screen, Billy Joe Saunders. In fact, no, better yet, let me start this way. I've received some clandestine information from deep inside Billy Joe Saunders' camp. And I've heard he's on some next cycle. And before you Billy Joe fans start raging, what we do know is Billy Joe was signed to fight Demetrius Poo Poo Andrade. What happened there? He popped. Everyone loves to brush that under the rug. Don't get me wrong. In fact, do get me wrong. People was jumping all over Canelo for the bush meat, for the ball meat, whatever you want to call it. Billy Joe, everyone brushed it under the rug. Ain't no one said nothing since. What we do know is he was on some dastardly cycle. And interestingly enough as well, what do we know about that cycle Billy Joe was on? It was because of the weight. He said allegedly, I started taking methamphetamines because of the weight. I wanted to cut the weight. So don't at me and say, YB, your source is wrong. I'm just telling you what I heard from deep inside one of my clandestine sources. One of them, by the way, not all of them. I have to admit that as well. It was only one of my sources. I've got a few sources in there still. One of my sources told me, YB, I wanted you to be the first to know Billy Joe. And that's where do you think the picture came from? You thought the picture just out there? This picture was leaked to the YB, confirming, or is as evidence, that Billy Joe is on an alleged deep cycle right now. He on a heavy cycle. He on the Decker, he on the Winstrol, he on the Anavar, all these different bits. Some of you might know, but I'll educate you, don't worry about that. He on all these different ones, all these underground ones. And what do we know? What's his name? Domingo. Domingo is the one who actually got Billy Joe on this kind of stuff. Domingo is juiced out of his head. Juiced out of his mind, Domingo is. He loves to go on, you know what he's like. Domingo loves to get on there and say, yeah, I like working out. No, you like being juiced to the gills. That's what you like to do. Oh, look, I'm 50-year-old, I'm 60-year-old, I look better than most young people. Yeah, you're more juiced than most young people as well. That's what I don't like, you know. If you're going to brag about being better, oh, look, I'm better than most young people, you have to have full disclosure. It's almost as if putting stilts, having some baggy jeans on, yeah, putting stilts on, and then saying, oh, look, I'm taller than most people. I'm taller than people 10 years younger than me. Well, no, you're not. You got stilts on. But for some reason, these juice heads think that, oh, well, I'm stronger than people 30 years younger than me. No, you're more juiced than people 30 years younger than you. Anyway, I've given you the whole circle of it now. That's where it started for Billy Joe. But what do we know? Look at Pig Baby Miller. When you get in these circles, it's hard to drop. It's hard to let it go. And Billy Joe, what do we know? He's in a fight with Canelo Alvarez. His hardest fight. A very hard fight, a scary fight for Billy Joe. So wait there a minute. Billy Joe didn't dare fight Poo Poo Andrade. Andrade has no power. Andrade has no power. He slaps. So you're telling me, and even then, no, I'm not knocking Poo Poo. Poo Poo's better than Billy Joe. Or he's got more balls at least. Mr. Poo Poo Andrade put the fear of God into Billy Joe. And even so, he ain't no matter what you say about Poo Poo Andrade, he ain't no Canelo Alvarez. So if you're trying to get on the methamphetamines for the Poo Poo fight, what do you think he's going to be doing for the Canelo fight? And by the way, all this theory I'm giving you, this is really just supporting evidence. The truth is, look at the picture. I've never seen Billy Joe's six-pack of you. Now, obviously, Billy Joe fans will say, YB, of course he's in this shape because it's his biggest fight. And no, that's not how shape works. You don't transform your body. Do you understand? You can have the hardest camp you want. You don't go from never seen abs before to having abs. We've seen Billy Joe up for fights in the past. He doesn't I've never seen him transform. He was up for, what fight was it? He was up for, what was that Donny fought? He fought someone with a David Libum. That's it. Billy Joe fought David Libum. And he was in his best shape. Admittedly, he was in his best shape. He didn't have no six-pack. He didn't have no obliques. So bear that in mind. And he was already an athlete at that point. So don't tell me all of a sudden he's growing a six-pack out of nowhere. No. That for me, from what I observe, In my trained eyes, that looked like the Anavar to me. Them little lines on to the left of the lines to the left is Anavar. If you look at the bottom bit, that bottom bit looks a little bit like Winstrol as well. I can see the wind coming through. That is the wind coming through. No doubt, 1,000,000%. He hopped on a hot cycle, and I'm actually hearing as well from one of my dons inside the promotional game. I'm hearing that actually Billy Ho and Canelo, they signed an agreement to basically have a dirty fight. They're both going gloves off kind of thing. You know what? We're just going to go Juice City on this one. But both men will be getting on their Lance Armstrong game. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's not going to be a cheating thing. There ain't going to be no pop-in test because they've both agreed to it. They both basically sat down and said, listen, shall we do this fight? And we'll basically both just go both Dom Ingle 2.0. And they said, yes, that's a great idea. Both athletes are allowed to Dom Ingle it up. And that's what happened. I'm just reporting the news. Telling you what I'm hearing. Telling you from in the thing as well. People forget this ain't no Hatman thing. I've actually got in sources inside the camp, clandestine sources. Everyone else reading newspapers, no. Inside the camp, these pictures inside the camp. Ain't no one got these. People forget that. What you thought the picture? What? Since when the pictures just appear out of nowhere? Where do you think it come from? The YB, straight into the YB's inbox from inside the camp. That's where it come from. For all you goofy man out there who think, oh, well, a picture can come from anywhere. No, it didn't. It come from inside the camp. No doubt. 100%. So when you watch this fight now, all we need to see now, yeah, imagine we see Billy Ho with some power. That's what, that for me will be it all. Imagine for the first time we see Canelo get rocked. That'll be it. And all you man who will be like, oh, YB, what you talking? YB, you're wrong. You watch. Billy Ho, if he does rock Canelo, that they'll prove to you what I'm saying. I mean, as if pictures and as if the YB's saying so don't prove it already, but I know what you man like. You man want more proof. It's not enough for me to show you clear night and day pictures. You can see the Winstrol just oozing out of him. The wind. Oozing out of him. And like I said, I'd hate to come on here and tell you that, oh, you're making it up. Well, what was Varda making it up when he fought Poo Poo? When Billy Ho fought Poo Poo Andrade, were they lying as well then? You know what I'm saying? That's what people don't really appreciate. At what point are we going to draw the line and say certain cats just like doing what they're doing? And where, let me tell you this for free, because I'm sure there'll be some people out there who say, YB, what are you talking about? There's no way Billy Ho and Canelo have some agreement. Varda will step in. Not exactly how it works, actually. Because the reason Pig Baby Miller got caught was because AJ wasn't down. When both fighters sign up, when both fighters agree, it's different. They sit Varda down and they tell him, listen, we're doing this now. Or in fact, better yet, I've heard they even cancelled the testing. They tell Varda, listen, we don't want you testing this fight. Because both fighters have, does that make sense? Because both fighters have agreed, there's no problem. The problem is, if obviously Pig Babe Miller, or if one fighter tries to do something dirty, and there ain't no agreement, then Varda are going to find it. But the minute both fighters agree, Varda gets cut, no one knows, who's going to tell you? Billy Ho ain't going to tell you there ain't no testing. Canelo ain't going to tell you there ain't no testing, and that's how it goes. Billy Ho, Canelo, you're going to see, listen, let me tell you this for free. You're going to see Canelo faster than ever. You're going to see Billy Ho with more power than ever. They're going to look like Transformers, relatively. Because they're going for a full Lance Armstrong. They're getting their Dom Ingle on all the way. They're going full Dom Ingle on this one. And I can't even lie, I don't even knock it. It's like the Tour de France. The Tour de France, many people have said, why is everyone having to go at Lance for? Because everyone was doing it. It literally turns out, years later, it's been proven now that the top 20 for the Tour de France, 19 legitimately, the top 19 were juiced. Fully juiced as well, not even a little bit, fully juiced. Listen, the top 19 in the Tour de France for all the years that Lance Armstrong won, they all had their Dom Ingle game on. 100%. They were 100% engaged in their Dom Ingle. That's the statistics for you. And I don't see nothing wrong with it. I really don't. I think there should be, as long as both fighters agree, as long as it's one of them ones where there's full disclosure, I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. I think it's quite interesting. I'd be intrigued to see how far scientists and whatnot can push the envelope. I mean, I've heard people complaining about genetic engineering. I want to see all the different ones. I'd love to see what the biggest, craziest thing we can create. Why not? What's the problem with that? Create some next 7-foot Don and whatever else. And to be fair, we do kind of have that, because if you look at World's Strongest Man and bodybuilders, they're almost they show us the limits. But it's not really a sport, is it? Bodybuilding. It's not really a sport. Well, strongman is to an extent. Yeah, strongman is, but bodybuilding isn't really a sport, because you ain't competing, are you? There's no me versus Eunice, really. Boxing is another deal. Being able to see what they can do would be interesting. But I guess you could also argue it's more dangerous. People will be hitting harder, lasting longer. So yeah, maybe it's not the smartest thing to do. But look at NFL. Apparently they still are, but I don't know. NFL at one point, it was just full of the juices on all the different cycles. They was going full Dom Ingle. No doubt. Anyway, let's wrap this up. That's what I'm hearing from my sources. And it is what it is. You man can take it or leave it, but I'm just calling a spade on this one.